Is 1 month into the new year too late for a New Year's resolution? And while I'm at it, can I just say I'm just not a fan of goal setting. All right, we're just blowing it all out. Welcome. This is the first podcast of 2026 here at Flourishing with Alex Reneman. And those of you that are on YouTube see that we're back on camera again. Fixed a little bit of the background, some other things. We've had several of you asking for video. And so here it is. I don't have, it's not, it's not some major production. And so it's just me sitting here talking to you, just like we've been doing over audio for most of 2025. And I do want to, again, thank all of you who have been following along and enjoying this and collaborating with me on what to cover. And today, just thought, hey, man, here we are almost a month in. We're past the Quitter's Day and all the stuff that is talked about come this year or this time of year with New Year's resolutions and all of that. And I don't know what kind of person you are. Many years I've been all about resolutions. I get my list. I'm ready to rock. The moment that, I burn something in the fire on the 31st, and the moment that hits the 1st, I'm ready to be a whole new person. And I don't want to make fun of that because anytime I think any of us can take a moment and try to have a new beginning, hey, I'm all in, man. Push chips to the middle of the table. Go at it. I'm here to support you. But for me, what I found over the last several years, I actually looked at December as my new year. And I did that for a couple of reasons, not just to be a schmuck and say, I'm starting my new year before you, but really so that I could kind of get things in motion and stumble and fall and all this kind of stuff. So really, by the time the first of the year hit, I was kind of already in the motion, already doing some of those things. And that was a valid strategy, and I still probably would go back to that. But this year, I just wasn't quite ready. I got to tell you, I was trying to get through that, and you all know if you listen to this long enough, I'm a seasonal guy. I think about the seasons, not always the natural seasons, but sometimes, but rhythms and all those things. And this year, I needed a season of chill. I was in the winter. Let's hibernate a little bit. Not entirely, but I did a lot of cooking, a lot of thinking, not cooking food, just cooking in my brain about what it is I wanted to be and do. And, when I grow up kind of thing in 2026. And so that kind of hibernation time and thoughts was really valuable. But what I landed on something a little different this year, and I thought, hey, why not share with you guys? And you can decide how that sounds against what you do, and maybe you can make fun of me or learn something or whatever else. And so, here we are. So this year, I took that time to hibernate in December, if you will. A lot of family time. I took a couple weeks off at the end of the year. It was great. The rest of the team rallied around. It was awesome to be able to do that and just be dad. So, founder, father, friend. I mean, I was father and friend. I was very little founder, except some thinking, right? And some writing, some strategic writing and such, but no real operational engagement. And that was huge for me. So in addition to that, I really kind of took it easy on myself and said, okay, let's get those. 25 was a hard year of physical engagement, trying to get healthier and do the things I needed to do to be the best me. And, we do this stuff all the time, but 25 for me was a real investment year in that. And I kind of took the month to just really relax some and get ready for 26. And here we are. And so now we're a month in, and you've all read, you see the highlights or the stories on Quitter's Day. A couple weeks in, everybody's quitting for the most part their New Year's resolution, or all the gyms empty out by February, all the things. And those are fun and people can make fun, but man, it's hard to create new habits. And I think it's also arguably hard to do it at the first of the year for all kinds of reasons. So I'm here to say, man, do it when you need it and when you think it works and how you think it works. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, do it another way and try it then. And so, yeah, great. We could kind of roll in with the wave of January 1, but at the same time, it's just as simple to do whatever you use. So here it is, January 20, whatever, or whenever you're listening to this. Let's give it a go. So here's what I took into. I felt a need to redesign my days as founder. In my founder role, my work role, I found a need to redesign those days for all kinds of reasons. What wasn't working is, and I think I talked to you guys in an earlier podcast, I was kind of being, it's popular to say reactive versus proactive, but I kind of was. I was being much more responsive to what was happening and less strategically proactive and acting on my environment. And that's it's weird. I guess sometimes you get caught in those cycles, and that's where I was. And as it was kind of ending out the year, and we had a heck of a second half and a fourth quarter and a December at Mountain Leverage, and it was awesome to see everybody come together. And it really gave me a moment to just pause and reflect. How can I be a better CEO, a better founder in my role for our customers, for our partners, for all the stakeholders, and certainly for our employees and for myself and for my family and my community, kind of always, right? I connect everything. It's hard to walk this line of anything in life and acting like it doesn't impact, everything you're into. So it just felt right to me. It wasn't about doing more, to be really, really super clear. It wasn't about doing more. It was about designing. Having my days more designed to make flourishment more likely. What I really focused on is I'm looking at the world around me, and we can talk about this and probably should more on the podcast. Is just this AI acceleration, man, coming, and it's coming after all of our businesses and all of our lives, and there's opportunities for us to take advantage of that, as we've talked about. But my leadership load in 26, I think, is pretty significant. I looked at what's going on with my family, with my kids kind of growing to certain ages, in teenage years and those kind of things, and the relationship with my wife and growing that over 25. Again, health. Now, it's non-negotiable as a foundation. It's not a side quest, man. It's the main quest, and I got to make sure I'm on that path. And then ultimately, finding in 25, hitting a lot of the limits of that willpower-based systems that a lot of us put in place, and they're okay for times and whatnot. But I was listening to a podcast, and I don't often get to very many of them, but whatever the universe provided. God laid a podcast in my hands, however you want to look at it. I listened to a Huberman podcast that talked about habits. And it was a great episode. It's one of those short ones. I mean, it's not the 4-day ones, day-long ones that he's got. It's a short one. And I was able to kind of listen to it. And it was just a couple things really struck me about it. And if you've ever listened to him, he goes, it's the science. It's all about the science and the data. And I love that. And that gives me a chance to then say, well, how do I feel about that? And what can I apply for me? And in this one, it talked about, habits forming around biology and timing, not necessarily motivation. So that idea of, what does your mornings look like? And is that the chance to install habits in different phases through the day? And all that stuff's really cool. And you'd be benefit if this is even interesting to you to go check that out. I'm not going to regurgitate the whole thing. I'm not qualified for it. And that's probably boring anyway. But this idea of going in with these cycles and replacing habits after failure instead of looking at failure and then whatever, but like the moment you fail, then you add the habit. And that creates this cycle, this upcycle, which is really cool. So instead of super relying on prevention, you begin to rely on this upcycle. And I love that. And another theme that I really dug into is designing for imperfect days. So again, I'm not going to go through all the episode. You should do it. It gave me some language and permission, candidly, to kind of shape this next level of system for me. And again, for you, there might be lots of different things. Maybe you're a great goal setter. I struggle with goals, but what I don't struggle as much with is knowing who I am and setting direction. So I'm a directional goal setter, if you will. And I that's how I look at goals. Like I want to make sure I'm moving in the right direction as opposed to I'm going to do this thing because I don't really know what my limits are. And so sometimes I set a goal, unless I see it as a waypoint for the next goal in a directional way, I might only get so much potential for what I can really accomplish. The other side of that is I may put something so far out there it's demotivating when I struggle to get there. So directional for me is always the win. Again, for me, your mileage may vary, but one of the really key things that I put in for this next cycle is a notion called MVP days. And I'm kind of double entendre here. So there's no such thing for me anymore as good days and bad days. It's every day's an MVP day. It's just what type. So MVP, we know those from either most valuable player, minimum viable product, all this kind of things, right? Well, for me, it's both, right? So if I have an awesome day, and that's what I'm shooting for is that MVP day. Yay, MVP day. But at the same time, I have a fallback. So let's say travel is in the way, whatever. There's all kinds of things that we have in our lives that wreck our days for one reason or another. Now, we can be more deliberate and disciplined about making sure we have less of those, but they still happen. Life happens. And so when that occurs, as opposed to feeling down or I missed the streak or whatever else, I just say that's an MVP day. Well, now that's a minimum viable productive day. And so now I make sure I do the minimum of things that I say, this is key. These are non-negotiable. Got to do these in my life. And so MVP day, yay, MVP day, yay, right? It works out either way. So anyway, for me, I really look at three things for my daily MVP, and that's physiology, direction, and closure. I want to make sure I've got the right energy for my day so I can bring the right energy as a founder, as a father, as a friend. At the same time, that direction, I want to make sure, like I mentioned, I don't want the world driving me or stimulus driving me. I want to be deliberate. And so agency, I want agency. So I'm thinking about energy, agency, and then I really struggled the last half of the last year with sleep and in the quality of sleep and the recovery. And so that felt really important to me right now. So if I can protect those three, energy, agency, and sleep, tomorrow is more likely to be an MVP, a most valuable player day, as opposed to a minimum viable productive day. So anyway, that's a key aspect of what I'm doing going forward. Just really a core insight for me, and I think it probably resonates with a lot of you. Maybe not, but for me, it really hits deep. So, what is an MVP mode, right? So on days that are completely full of chaos, and maybe if I can see them coming, and I go ahead and say, look, this one's going to be an MVP day all the way. I'm ready to go. Maybe it's travel, could be emergencies, it could be health disruptions, all kinds of things happen in our lives. And I literally say it out loud. Today is an MVP mode day. It's just MVP day. And that kind of gives me some permission. And you could look, obviously you could say, well, is that going to create where every day is going to be an MVP day? Well, I don't know, man, maybe, but I think you're listening to this podcast probably because you're out there doing your thing and trying to find ways to be a better you in whatever way. And I just, that's a low risk for me and probably for you that I'm not too worried about all of a sudden end up on the couch every day in my underwear playing PlayStation saying this is MVP day. I mean, I want to do stuff. I want to accomplish things. I want to be the best I can be. So my challenge is more giving myself the grace, right? To say, hey, today's MVP day. So that's really important. And in these cases, it allows me sometimes to pre-decide the day, which is awesome. So I don't always feel like I'm caught off guard. It removes that guilt and it gives me this continuity. So I'm still going. It's not about the things. I've tried the streaks, like it's hit the streaks and I get it. And there's value in all that. But if I miss a streak, I take it hard. I take the loss. I take the L big time and I don't like it. So by removing that guilt, I'm able to keep forward progress, which is really important to me. Again, that directional progress. So the continuity's there and I love that. So my habits, I'll just give you, so what I did is I put kind of 6 habits around this directional thing and only a few are really those MVP ones, right? That we talked about. And I won't go into the details of what they are, but really one of them is just kind of a morning movement, getting that energy, getting the hormones going, all those things connected to set the day on the right edge. And also one thing, like if I do this today is a win. Now none of these are going to be earth shattering. These are going to be like, well, yeah, of course, but I'm really doing it. I'm not just starting the day up and letting the day run me in whatever else. In fact, I'm not even looking at email, Slack, all the things, text. I'm not looking at any of that until about 10:30 in the day, and I'm up early. And so it gives me a chance to really drive my day. I have one really deliberate, like micro moment connection with somebody in my family. It could be my wife, my kids, family, whatever it may be. I'm focusing in on having that moment, a deliberate moment where I am proactively connecting with them. And then, there's some health maintenance there in terms of what I'm doing with my movement, with my eating. There's some habits around that. And then lastly, and this one's an important one, and this is part of that MVP day for me, is all about closing out the night. And so making sure I'm downshifting. There's all the things many of us do, like we don't eat too late and we're trying not to, the inputs after a certain time, those are important, but also just a deliberate downshifting, maybe some breathing, reading, stretching, whatever it may be, downshift out of there. And again, I don't try to do all 6 of these every day. I mean, they're there. And if I can do it, fantastic. I aim for 4 or 5 and in worst case scenario, I grab 3 and that's an MVP day. So it's, and I've been doing this now for a little over a month or just about a month. And I found some really, really big wins. I mean, my sleep score and my HRV, my heart rate variability that tracks the gaps between your heartbeats and all this kind of stuff. It's a good measure of, are you recovering? Tracking those, I've seen those begin to rise. The sleep score first and your HRV seems to be tailing up with it, which is awesome. I am absolutely dialed in at Mountain Leverage in a way I haven't been in a while. Not that I haven't been cranking and working and doing things, but just being able to be deliberate and not have that task switching. So this is another thing I changed in our model. We have our mornings now are pretty quiet. They're quiet mornings, and that's hard to do when you have a global company and everybody's running. So it's not going to work for everybody, and this is always a challenge anytime you're trying to put something together. But for me, again, I'm up in the morning. I have I do my morning ritual. As the older I get, the more I love rituals that I never really appreciated as a young man. And then I really don't get into the rat race. I don't have things until mid-morning. And at that point, we built some summaries to come that I can get a hold of in the mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and I don't bounce back and forth between what I'm doing and email or what I'm doing in Slack or whatever Teams, if you've got that stuff, whatever. I'm staying out of that. So the context switching, again, nothing earth-shattering here, guys, but the context switching that was happening throughout my day, I had no idea, really. I thought I had it figured out. I had no idea how much it was pulling away from my energy. And so by eliminating that throughout the day, by the end of the week, I'm still ready to rock. Let's get the next week going. I'm ready. Whereas a lot of last year, and certainly the second half, I was come Thursday, it's like you out of gas, right? And so again, I don't know what your situation's like, but that was huge for me. Your job role may need that constant engagement, and so that's your job, and it's different. My job is not for that. And now, if you need me, if something's going on, people know how to get a hold of me. They can raise the alarm, and I'm in. I'm happy to do that, but that shouldn't be a daily, every hour, constantly throughout the day kind of thing. And so I've been deliberate about that. There's some things I've not done so well, right? The days I've learned that if I really don't get some of these things knocked out in the morning, I don't have things just get swept up. They just get swept up in the day. I don't have the willpower. Huberman calls it a limbic friction. I think that's a phrase he came up with. I like it. It just says, look, you have more motivation to do something earlier in the day typically than you do later in the day. But there's certain things that you're always kind of ready to do. And there's certain things that are always kind of tough to do. And you want to find the right times to get to do those things. So there's less friction, less limbic friction to be able to do this or shape them in a way. And so there's all kinds of science around that. And we won't get into that on this one. But anyway, it hasn't been perfect, but I can tell you the MVP feature and really the minimum side versus the most valuable side has been magic for me. I don't want to say I've lowered my expectations because I still expect to kick butt every day and I expect to kill it. I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to take over the world, but being able to have a second path that still gets me forward progress without feeling like a loser and without being a loser, that's huge. So I think the win here isn't quite consistency as much as it's trust. It's trust in that progress for me. Trust that I can continue to move forward. Making this all usable for my benefit, for my progress, as opposed to it making so prescriptive that I'm now yet again another slave to a list of things that maybe I put together or somebody else, but I'm able to kind of just move through life, and it's been cool. So if this resonates with you, don't just copy my stuff. I mean, you can try it, but I'm not sitting here telling you it's best for you or even for me for that matter. But it's working. And it's a little different. It does look more like a New Year's resolution that I'm following through, but there's some nuanced differences that are working for me. So I'd say steal the principle all you want. Design, your worst realistic day. And is that enough? And what does that look like? If you had to kind of skid along the bottom in a day, what still makes it an MVP day? You're still getting your minimum viable productivity day. And that MVP is a play on words. It's not all about productivity. It's about the connection and love that you share with those that are close to you and all the things, whatever's important to you, right? How could you get that minimally in a day and still get over? That's not the target, but it gives you that fallback, and it's pretty good. What are your 3 non-negotiables, right? What are your 3 things that just have to happen in a day? I say all this to say maybe it's not daily for you. Maybe there's a weekly thing you run. Maybe it's every couple of days. Maybe if you only do something X number of times a week, whatever. That's a little harder for me to manage, but may work better for you. And I've tried those things in the past. That may work well. So anyway, I think as I look at all this, and I'm blabbering on now, and I'm happy if you guys have other questions. And lots of times after these, you come back and there's some Q&A, and I'm happy to engage on any of this and share openly what I'm doing and what's working, what's not working. But I think the thing I'll leave you with is what has has really come to my mind over this is flourishing in this phase it isn't about intensity for me right now. It's about alignment over time. And that progress of continually recommitting and reconnecting and moving forward with my flourishment path. And that's been cool, man. So, that's been my January. So I'm not quitting. I've not hit quitters. I'm also not having to completely recommit because I've just continually been falling forward. I've been making progress every day. And the days that are just minimum days, man, the next day is I've still made progress, and that's just important. So I hope that's helped to you. And again, if you've got any questions, you got comments, thoughts, I'd love to hear them. If this episode is valuable to you, I'd love it if you thought it'd be valuable to somebody else. You shared it with them. I love the community we've built here, and I love the feedback y'all have given. And again, hopefully you enjoy the video. This is cool. My buddy Luke, he's also a listener. He designed. This is awesome. This is my hometown, and all kinds of things going on in it. Maybe we could talk about some of that stuff later. I'm kind of excited about some of the stuff. It all means something to me. But hopefully the video is better. And if you're not listening to the video, that's cool. You can the audio will still roll in just the same. I'm still using all the same mic and everything else. So with that, it is not too late. Let me confirm to you, it is not too late for you to set your New Year's resolution or whatever resolution. And hey, if you don't want to set goals like everybody else, but you want to set some directional stuff or some progress goals or whatever you need to make, do it, set it, whatever it is for you to flourish. That's what I want for you. So anyway, hope that your new year has kicked off well. We're about to hit February here, second month of the year. We're already rocking and rolling down year 2026. Thank you all for all you've done in this podcast, and look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week, and wherever you are, I hope that you are flourishing.